I'm Gabriel Bassett, and we're going to spend a little bit of time coding various breaches from kind of news articles today. Um, I'll probably be streaming for an hour, so we'll go till maybe 11:30 Eastern time. Um, I'm a little behind on the number I should have done, but I also have a bunch of other stuff to do, so those kind of take precedence. So hopefully we'll get 3 or 4 breaches in, and to that end, let's get started. Let's see. How about this? This looks interesting. And it's a random assignment. We are coding from the issues listed in the VCDB repository. Those are news articles that are put here that have information about breaches that have been disclosed publicly. And our goal here is to turn them into structured data using the Varus web app that's at varuscommunity.net. You can also download the single file web app from the Varus repository, so vz-risk/Varus, VERIS. In fact, I think I have it open up here. You can download the web app right here. It's all a single file. Excuse me. And then we're going to feed the records we create, which will be JSON records, back into VCDB. So let's see what this is. Hearing aid manufacturer hit by cyber attack slashes profits by 95 million. I always am nervous about these because you don't know whether they actually had a problem. Like, can you prove that it was 95 million worth of damage? That seems to be unlikely. Demount, one of the world's largest manufacturers of hearing aids, expected to incur losses of up to 95 million following what appears to be a ransomware infection that hit the company at the start of the month. This marks one of the most significant losses caused in a cybersecurity incident outside of the NotPetya report ransomware, which hit shipping giant Maersk and FedEx, costing 300 million each. DeMont's losses also outweigh the damage caused by a ransomware incident at aluminum producer Norris Hydro. Yeah, but without a little bit of detail, see, this makes me nervous because this is a general problem, right? Because we had this issue with Target. When Target had their major breach, they declared a bunch of losses and fired the CIO, but the reality was the CIO they'd made a big push into Canada, and the CIO had implemented a different cash register system there, and it had just profoundly not worked. Their inventory and cash register system didn't work, and they couldn't keep the shelves stocked because of this, and it really killed their entire entry into Canada. And it happened kind of at the same time, and so a lot of times I think that breaches provide the ability for an organization to kind of sweep a little bit of other stuff under the rug, so to speak, other problems with the business, and blame them on the breach. Because realistically, a ransomware attack that costs you 95 million, I mean, unless they actually charge 95 million for the ransomware, you can just pay the ransom and get back. It's a terrible idea because it just encourages more ransomware, but it's hard to imagine that, the real damages were $95 million. So, okay. Troubles began at the start of the month with a short statement on its website. The company said it was shutting down its entire internal IT infrastructure. What really happened, the company's network will never know. See, that's a problem, for trying to report on this. Demont never revealed anything except IT infrastructure was hit by cybercrime. Reports in Danish media pegged the incident as a ransomware attack, and sure did look like one from the outside. Per its own statements, the company's infrastructure was impacted severely. This includes company's ERP, production, distribution facilities in Poland, production service sites in Mexico, cochlear implant production sites in France, amplifier production sites in Denmark, its entire Asian Pacific network. How in the world? I mean, this doesn't sound right. Companies usually recover after data breaches within days. However, they took weeks. They're still recovering assets. It takes months to recover and is usually encountered during ransomware infections. Only incidents have last long effects. delays in shipping products as well as impacts on our ability to receive orders. Many clinics across our network have been unable to service users. You know, just because it said from the article, where was it? What really happened, you never know. I'm going to put this quote in here, and I'm going to mark this one as not codable, at least yet. Information from the company to determine happened also puts into question whether the breach really caused all 95 million in losses, because it's not really clear, right? Maersk has gone through and documented in very high detail what they had to do to recover, but that was a very complex attack, right? That was, a nation state piece of malware that had an advanced capability to pivot. There's no documentation here, so I'm going to unassign myself. Let's see. I'll unassign myself and label this needs data, which is needs details, and close it. And won't get assigned to anyone else until it removed I forgot to comment. Okay. Wait, where'd my comment go? Because I hit comment, right, didn't I? Ooh, oh, I gotta pop out. Yeah, conf. Here. Sorry, I had forgotten to pop out chat, so I wasn't looking at chat. The most important part of the stream. So yeah, like, confounders are rarely captured during breaches. Okay, so the comment did make it in, just hadn't shown. Okay, so that one, unfortunately, closing it doesn't count against my quota, so I don't get any points for that one. Okay. U.S. hack attacks hobbles Iran's ability to target oil tankers. Oh, this was an interesting one. This is very kind of clear nation state type one. The question is, can we code it? Sustain an undeclared cyber conflict, blah, 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 despite database destroyed. So they deleted a database, is what we really know. They probably had existing access. Going to assign it to a date. That should be pretty easy. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll give this one a try. It's an important one to include. But it's not going to have a lot of detail because the reality is we don't know a lot about how access was gained. We just kind of know who did it and why. US deletes Iranian Revolutionary Guard database, I guess. And we do have a lot of information about who did it because it was admitted. I put it in medium. Timeline, the incident happened, I think, June 20th, right? June 20th. Compromise, we don't know. We would guess, weeks or months or years, some long timeline. And then exfiltration is not important in this case because that was not the attribute. We didn't steal data, though. The reality is I'm sure a lot of data has been stolen through this access. But we're not coding that part of the breach. Discovery, days at the longest, because we admitted to it. Containment is unknown. We don't know if they figured out the access, right? The traditional nation state ideas that, you create your new access and then you use the existing access to do something, and then they clean out the existing access and you still have that new access. So it is generally hard to clean out a entrenched attack like that. So this timeline, the victim is, I guess, Iran. I mean, it's Iran, the country. Operator. This is just quotes from people. Bad color. Employee count, I'm just going to mark this as large. Industry, this will be public administration and national security. Locations affected, sounds like one in Iran. Oh, our region, Middle East. State, I have no clue. And then victim, the action. We really don't know. We just don't know. Infiltrate all of them. Let's see. We know little to nothing about. I mean, so data was disclosed. So going back to the timeline, I should just put exfiltration unknown because the data had to be disclosed to know what was in the database. So we know little nothing about how the access was created. It's going to be one of those breaches that we don't get any action information about. And nation state, normally in nation state type breaches that we get data, you normally have data going back to a certain point, at least if you've got the IR report. But at some point, if the breach has been going on long enough, the nation state has covered its tracks and you don't see back any farther in time. So actor, this is clearly a nation state. Clearly for espionage. Let's see. Country was the U.S. See actor. Let's see. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. There's no point. Normally, actor would be for a specific threat group, and if we knew department, I mean, we could make guesses at which department would do such a thing, but it's kind of pointless. Doesn't really add anything. Total out one asset as a database server, as far as we know. We'll assume it's located in Iran. It would make sense. The attribute confidentiality data was disclosed and say assume classified information, but we don't know the amount. Victim organization was stored at the very least. Data abused. Yes, I don't know how you. It just doesn't make sense because, like, it's not like someone went out and took that database and then used it to attack other ships, right? So it may not be appropriate here. Probably the notes. You may want to put a note in assets on this. Turn this down. Okay, so database used to store targeting information of oil tankers. Okay. And really the availability. destruction of the database. Duration. Duration of the destruction, really unknown. Years. I mean, how long it takes them to build it back up, I guess. We don't really need an unknown attribute. And then, was it targeted? This was very targeted. Discovery method. This was disclosed by the actor because it had geopolitical consequences. The value chain. This one's going to be interesting. There's definitely targeting, but we don't know what kind. There's definitely some type of payload that had to be developed. We don't know what other non-distribution services they may have been using. These are mostly tuned toward financial type breaches. Distribution, we don't really know how it got there. But we know that these are not applicable. There's no cash out, and there was no money laundering. And this is an oversight to not have NA and unknown in money laundering. We'll be adding them with 1.3.4. So let's see. Impact. We think it was painful because they lost targeting information. Plus, this was actually a random assignment, I think. Yeah. Random. And then I'm going to leave the event chain out of it because we don't know really anything about the actions, and that's a key part of the event chain. And we'll mark this one validated because this will validate the JSON when we save it. And we're going to copy it off here for those that don't know, so that we have a copy. This is a web app, and it stores it all in local memory on your system within the web browser. But should something happen and your cache gets cleared or something, it's not bad to have an outside copy of it just in case. So we'll close that one, and we'll go back and see what else we can do. San likely didn't notify constituents whose data had been exposed despite pushing laws requiring it for companies. It's interesting. Which Hassan is this? Okay. Senator Maggie Hassan collects the social security numbers of residents who ask her, no thank you, for help in the office. What? Sounds like a bad choice. The office's data was stolen by a blackmailer. Hassan did not appear to notify those constituents that they could be at risk. State law requires it. She's been voted. Okay. So Senator Maggie Hassan's computer systems were hacked in what prosecutors call the largest data theft in Senate history. Ooh. Let's see. I wonder if we can find one of these in a non-political website. Hey, Hassan breach. And yeah, like makes me nervous. Oh, but here we go. Inside job. I'll sign up for this later. Former computer system administrator pled guilty to computer fraud in 4 counts Friday for a U.S. District Court. Pled guilty to superseding information, including 2 counts of making public restricted documents, 1 count of computer fraud, 1 blah, blah, blah. Obtain keys from another Senate staffer. He entered the office at night to install keylogger devices to record keystrokes on 6 staff computers. Man, this one's going to be actually kind of interesting. says he was caught by a staffer on one occasion, fled, then sent the staffer an email stating leak it all. That's an action of itself. Used information gathered to allegedly copy dozens of gigabytes of data, including credit card information, social security numbers belonging to Senate employees. um, Accused of maliciously publishing personal information. Okay, so this was reported in April 19. When were those other articles from? These are May, July. See, this came after those both came after the actual news about the thing. So, I'm going to put a note about that we'll use this article, which seems to be a little less biased in our report. Okay. In previous articles which appear to have political bias, using the following reference. Okay, so we could code this one. It's confirmed. 13,703. I am the analyst. Summary. Staffer. Employee. Borrowed physical keys. Use them to install key loggers to steal data and blackmail a politician. Okay. Confidence seems high. Timeline. The problem is we don't really know when this happened. We just know when he was charged. He probably shouldn't have been as brazen. Let's see. Maybe, is there any chance that there's another article about it? He was accused in October of 2018. Pressure to fire intern. It's gotta be something else. Let's see. Former senator is accused of posting, from January 2017 to May 2018. So the breach happened in 2017, January. And this really should go into the 2019 corpus, because looks like in 2017 the compromise took, sounds like at least hours, because he took the car keys and then installed the keylogger. Exfiltration, I'm going to say days, because he had to have planned that, prepared a keylogger and stuff. Exfiltration took, we'll say, days, because he has to actually retrieve things from the keyloggers. And that's to start retrieving stuff. Discovery took, I guess, months. So let's pause this ad, is distracting. Because January to May, well, I guess actually, yeah, months, because we're looking at 12, 13, 14 months. 17 months. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 12, January, February, yeah. Containment. It's unknown how long it took them to, after they discovered it, to arrest him. I guess he was charged in October. So containment probably took months, as they had to investigate stuff. I don't know, but like, so like, you know, I can imagine like if your coworker is like, "Hey, I need to go get in the room. Can you can I borrow the key real quick?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Because they're in the organization. Um, you don't expect them to go in and install a keylogger, and they bring you back the key, and so everything seems okay. And then then they have the power. I mean, this really is kind of like you can't be protected from everyone. Um, why he thought he would get away with it, so to speak, is probably the surprising one. Um, Notification did not happen because she didn't notify, because that's what the other thing said. Victim ID. Who would be the victim here? I mean, this would be the United States Senate, right? Hmm. So, how many people does the United States Senate employ? I'm probably gonna list searching for that. How about number of employees? Not how many U.S. senators. I think I've got that. State Senate employs at least 3,000 people. 1,000 to 5,000 employees. Yeah, whatever. I can live with that. Industry. Let's go and find the industry. Let's see. Is there a legislative branch here? Copy. Here's the affected one. Certainly in the United States. And the interesting thing is they say in Boston. So I'm going to assume it's in U.S. Massachusetts rather than in D.C. Okay. Action. And this is actually, you know what? I'm going to go down and do the plus section. Because it started with a social attack by an internal actor on a person asset, compromising integrity, so they got the keys they needed. And then they used that for a physical attack by an internal actor on a user system to compromise confidentiality. And then, so that gets them the password. So using information allegedly copied dozens of gigabytes, so probably the credentials. And then they used a hacking action by the internal actor on, we'll say, the servers to log in and steal and breach confidentiality. And then, in fact, there is a social action by the internal actor to blackmail a person to affect their integrity. Actually happened, I think, twice. Data by credentials. So all those have to then be coded back up here. See, this is a fun one. So we had a couple social. There's probably pretexting to get the key, and then extortion to prevent the disclosure. These seem to be probably in person. the targets were primarily end users, I think, just regular employees. And we're going to break this out in targeting because it's a little bit different. That was used to infiltrate primarily. And then we had the physical action of tampering to install. Skimmer is primarily card skimmers, and so this is a keylogger, a physical keylogger, I think, right? Or did it say? Yeah, no, physical keylogger devices on 6 staff computers. Snooping, surveillance, theft, physical tapped communications lines, tampering. This is to a communication line specifically. They didn't steal anything. Surveillance, you could almost say, but that's really video or audio surveillance, not, adding a device. Snooping around, disable controls, destruction. I think tampering is the best. And this was in. We're going to rewrite these vectors to be a little bit. We're considering rewriting these vectors to be a little bit more consistent. But I don't know if it'll make it in this version because we're not completely sure how to break them out. This is the victim secure area. Well, it's victim work area because these are desktop computers. This was used to infiltrate or to actually exfiltrate the data. So exfiltrate credentials. And then hacking action using the stolen credentials and we don't really know how he did it. We'll say likely with physical access to exfiltrate the data. What a bad choice. Actor. This is customer. No. Oh, I'm an external. I need to be an internal. Just an end user from I think, right? And now, what was the motive? Devices, large copy of data, maliciously publishing. I mean, it's certainly malice of some type. I'm going to add this to the record here as well. Sometime I will get used to end not going to the end of the text field. Why did he do it? Other than just malice. I mean, it sounds kind of like grudge for whatever reason. He wanted to cause harm, but it's not clear why. So close down the actor. And then the asset. We have a lot of these. We have at least 2 people. Oh, here we do it. 2 people. Sounds like end users. And then we have 6 user devices. Sounds like desktops. And then we have an unknown number of servers that were storing gigabytes of data. And then we have an unknown amount of internal data. So what were all the things it said? It said personal information of hundreds of people, tens of thousands of emails, credit cards, and social security numbers. So he stole, and it's going to be all the things. He stole all the things. Well, these are assets though. So we compromise 2 people. He compromised some desktops and he compromised servers. We'll say at least 8 assets compromised, all in the United States. Actually, we should say 9 at least, because we know servers were involved. Then attributes. Data was certainly disclosed. The amount, well, we don't know exact hundreds, but it said credit card numbers. So we'll start with personal data for the social security numbers, payment data for the credit cards, internal information for, or secrets for the emails, for the it would be secret. It really would be internal information for the emails rather than secrets. I don't know. No, probably secrets. Kind of the difference is like internal information. There is that, and we have had ones that were done for love. We had one where a mother's son got arrested, and the mother worked for like the Justice Department, and she went and stole, like, the gang leader asked the mom to go get the videos of the abuse, and so she stole the videos to blackmail or to threaten the witness in the case. So that has happened, but I don't think we strictly code it as love. But it does happen. Weird things like that happen. So the difference between secrets and internal, and we probably should define these better. I may add a Varus issue for that. And go in next year. Because, I don't know why those definitions don't seem to be there, but we really should have definitions for data varieties. So I need to add a definition. And it may just be because of how this breaks out into these list of objects. But it is something that needs to be considered for updating. The difference between secrets and internals, yeah, secrets are like actual sensitive internal data. Information is like the network diagram is a good example that we use. It's information about kind of how the organization's structured, but it's not necessarily data that the company specifically acknowledges. And so emails conceptually could be considered internal, but because of kind of how he stole it and what his goals were, my guess is he was specifically going after emails that contain secrets. Really, probably the best thing is he stole both. I mean, it doesn't hurt to put both, and he kind of sucked up whatever he could. The data was of employees, as well as of the victim organization. It was stored unencrypted. Was it abused? It was abused. And this was targeted. He wanted this specific stuff. I mean, he had access, but he was going after something. Discovery method. I don't think that, well, actor disclosure, because he tried to blackmail him. Value chain. Targeting really doesn't apply, but non-distribution services. Development. Say development other for a keylogger. Physical keylogger. Whoop. So even physical things have to be developed. Where were we? Non-distribution services. He really didn't use any. Targeting. He knew what his target was, so he didn't need an external service to do that. we think. Distribution was physical. Cash out was not applicable, and it would be not applicable for money if we had that too. It doesn't sound like he asked for money. He just asked for them not to disclose it. And then impact, insignificant. They admitted to it, and he got charged with a crime, but no one's paid anything. This was a random assignment. We did the event chain. Mark this validated, and we'll save it. It's a relatively long one, actually. An interesting one, too. So, a new file to put it in. Have time for at least one more. It'd be nice to get in two, but I'm not overly optimistic about it. And so let's see what else is on our plate here. We did that one. Card skimmers found at gas pumps. We'll do this because it doesn't come up a ton. Not near as much as it used to, but it is certainly relevant. Oh, this is, this was the one I meant to put on that last one. Here. Edit this and put this in here. We'll just delete it from here. That way we've got both of the records. And that means I probably have to go back over here and go to the end of here because I posted the wrong link here. So we'll save that. Might as well just copy it over the other one. Turn. Okay. Now we can go back to what we were going to do, which was the card skimmer one here, which should be easy. These used to happen a ton, but either they're not happening as much or they're being handled by like local law enforcement. They used to be handled by national law enforcement very heavily, but it seems now that's more a local law enforcement thing. And so it's either that they just don't happen as much or local law enforcement takes care of them, which is why they don't end up in our report as much anymore. Reference, summary, gas pump skimmers. Okay, and hopefully there's enough information here to actually do this. Madison County Sheriff Office investigation after credit card skimming devices were found at local gas stations. Responded to a mobile gas station to investigate reports of a card skimmer on one of the pumps. How did they find that? Later the same day, they arrested 2 suspects found in possession of similar skimmers. Investigators are now working to determine if they're the same ones. Second pump skimmer found in September. Skimmer was found at pump. And it's the same reported card skimmer. This is the second reported card skimmer located in the county. We'll just code the one because these are kind of vague, somewhat related stuff. Let's see. This happened pretty quick. We'll give this a shot. Not a lot of data here, but enough that we can probably make something of it. So this happened in 2019, February, what? February, Thursday morning. Well, let me just tap my memory and try to figure out what Thursday morning was before February 2019. So February 15th was a Friday, so the 14th. Yeah, that was a quick turnaround. That's when we're aware of it. Compromise took in most minutes because you can't spend hours sitting at gas pump installing skimmer. Exfiltration probably took, I'm going to say hours because it looks like these are maybe a wireless skimmer, but they probably had to physically come back, and it doesn't sound like, actually I'm going to say, did they even get a chance to retrieve data? At most it would have been hours. Discovery happened in hours because it sounds like, but we don't know if it happened the same day. So it would have taken at least hours to do it, at least hours to find it. But you'd think if this had been going on too long without being caught, you would kind of think that the credit card companies would have told them about it because it would have been caught through common point of presence. Containment took probably minutes to remove. Notification. That really didn't happen. They didn't, as far as we know, they didn't notify the people who received it. So the victim ID is going to be mobile gas, I guess. Let's see. What is mobile gas? I feel like these numbers are low. Here. Mobile gas number of employees. ExxonMobil. Okay. And 71,000. So 50 to 100,000. This industry. I don't know. I'll just Google it. Next code, because this should be a pretty straightforward one. Other gas stations. Okay. I'm going to just double check that against here. Okay. Locations affected. We're aware of one in the United States. They talk about a couple others, but they don't have them really tied to the other ones. Region is this. State is U.S. Florida. And then we don't know about this. Okay, so the action, physical, and here we can choose skimmer. This was in the victim grounds outside. This was used to infiltrate and exfiltrate data. Okay, so close that. Actor, external. It seems like an organized crime group. They, ostensibly they may have been doing this for a couple of months. Intentional career criminals. And really we should change the organized crime to just career criminal because we rarely know the organization behind it. But we do know that they are kind of intentional criminals in most cases. This is certainly financial. We're looking, they were in the United States. It doesn't say whether they were from outside of the country or not, though that is very common. Let's see. Put the region here. Close down actor. The asset was one terminal. So terminal, gas terminal. This was in the United States as well. Attribute was the confidentiality. Was data disclosed? Potentially, because we really don't know. We're able to remove the skimmer and secure it as evidence. Also check the remaining fuel pumps. Not known how long the skimmer had been installed. So the data could have been exposed or it could not have been. Yeah, we'll just code it that way. And payment information, we don't know how much. And customers information and transmitted. Because it was captured in process between like the pin pad and keypad and the computer right there. Was data abused? It's unknown. And that was really it. Targeted, this is very opportunistic. It's just where the money is. Discovery seems to be internal by probably an employee. It sounds like an employee noticed it, right? Value chain, there was the development of a skimmer. And fabrication, really. Distribution services were not applicable. Targeting was not necessary because they already knew what they were going after. Distribution, they didn't need distribution. Well, okay, so targeting was local. They didn't need it externally. And then distribution. Okay, so this is the interesting thing, right? Because this was very much, these happened, but they happened internally. So if you said that distribution did happen, but was distributed physically by the actor, or let's say this was a criminal organization which had two people in the area putting these skimmers on. Well, they didn't contract out a service to deploy them. They used an internal service. But they also used probably identify gas stations that they could use the skimmers on. I mean, this is not a trivial piece of equipment, right? This is an actual circuit that someone had to print, and they actually took the time to heat shrink it. It's got a pin out over here and a connector wire. And interestingly enough, these are numbered, and that says number 83. Cash out be probably direct through stolen money. Well, probably through selling stolen goods. Money laundering, we don't know. Is there not even an unknown in here? I really missed the boat on this, on money laundering for some reason. So that's our value chain. Plus section, this was a random assignment. Event chain was pretty straightforward. A physical action by an external actor on a terminal asset resulted potentially in the breach of confidentiality. And we can mark this one validated. Oh. Development. Oh, I messed up in value chain, which I don't normally do. Development. Oh, I put a skimmer, so if I'm going to put that, I need to add something here. This other. So we'll save that. And that gives us a little bit of time. I would prefer to cast end early, but I really would like to get 4 done. So I'm going to close this one and see if any of the ones that I have remaining are kind of a short one. So principal, student info, house, principal, exposed private student info, and new breach. Okay, card skimmers found. That's the one I just did, I think. Let's look at this one real quick. See if we can do it. Okay, what is this? So it looked kind of weird. Okay, so Chicago Public Schools confirmed confidential student information had been improperly disclosed in yet another data breach, this time involving the recently removed principal of Ogden Elementary School. Parents in a letter, the former principal, Michael Mann, properly shared a Google Drive folder with files containing employee ratings and evaluations from last year, as well as identification numbers, grades, standardized test scores, and email addresses. Who did he share it with, though? YADB? You have to spell it out for me. Let's see. Oh, yet another data breach. Yeah, no kidding. Um, yeah, I find it interesting to get to the point with the articles where it's like, yeah, it happened again. Um, like it's becoming so common and ubiquitous that it's just not worth the news anymore. It's almost like a home break-in would be more novel than a data breach. So initially shared the drive without authorization when he's a principal, but the district says it didn't learn this. He's fired. He enables settings and folders allowing anyone to receive a link. The link has been disabled, but not before he copied an email shared with a community member as part of a FOIA request. Oh, come on, man. Like, oh, gosh. No, so this one is super interesting. Like, what happened is he got FOIA'd. He sent he sent the emails, but the emails contained the Google Drive link, and the Google Drive link allowed anyone to access it. Like, this is one of those random things that I could so see happening to like this is the kind of thing I would do. Right? If I had to disclose like emails and stuff, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, okay." I'd never think for a million years that I had sent a Google Drive link to a bunch of sensitive information in an email. Like, I'll give that there are a lot of people that make really bad decisions that become entries in our corpus, and like I can feel for this dude. Uh, this is January of this year, I guess. I mean, he was fired last year. Does it say when it happened? In August, right? I think saw August. Google Drive in August. Sent an email. She shared a folder. They learned about it on December 19th. Accused of sending the information via Google Drive in August. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is like one of those like, hey, this could happen to you type things. I'm not really sure how you avoid it because you tell everyone not to send Google Drive links to each other. Just ever. On the off chance something like this happens. Like this falls into like the breaches happen category. So okay. A principal sent a Google Drive link to a drive containing sensitive information by email. The principal. I like, by the way, how the school district so just throws the guy under the bus. Right, like, hey, it was clearly the principal responding to the FOIA request, not us. you know, like it's clearly his fault for not sanitizing the FOIA request. Principal was then FOIA'd and sent the email as part of the response, including the link with all the sensitive information. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, this is certainly a good one because there were certainly consequences for everyone involved. Um, it's an interesting one. Okay, so this happened in, I'm going to say 2019 because it sent the link in, if you sent the link in August, well, no, it happened in 2018. But I'm going to put it in the 2020 corpus because it probably wasn't FOIA'd until, well, the breach happened in 2018. But we don't know exactly when because the breach happened when it was FOIA'd, not when he sent the email. Compromise actually took probably months. Exfiltration, it's probably minutes. Discovery, I'm gonna say days. Well, we don't know but it would have been quick. They learned about it on December 19th. When you school officials learned on December 9th, sent an email. They learned about it on. So it was discovered. It happened August, but yeah, at least probably weeks. Given the timelines, because sometime between August and December it was FOIA'd, and then whoever received it through the FOIA request told them about it. It's unknown. They probably shut it off pretty quick, but who knows if they could shut it off in minutes or hours. The victim is the Chicago School District. Chicago Public School system, I guess. Okay. Okay. So students, 27,000 teachers, 37 staff at least. So at least 57. So this is going to fall into the 50 to 100,000 employees. Industry, pre-K to 12th, and so this is in education, elementary and secondary schools. Locations affected, 1 in the United States, and state USIL, and North America. Okay. No real secondary victims. Actions. This is a straight up error. Carelessness. Actually, this is inadequate processes. No process to sanitize adequatization of FOIA-based information. I feel like this is trolling me. Okay, that's the way I'm spelling it. Yeah, I guess I could have just read it. Spelling is not my strong suit. Should probably disclose that up front. Okay. Errors. Oh. So this was misdelivery, which a lot of error comes down to. The actor is internal manager, and this was no motive, it was just a mistake. He was recently fired, but this used to be a bit of a bigger issue. Let's see. Let's see, asset, total 1, variety. What was the asset in this case? I guess the server, it would be the cloud server. It was a Google Drive, so file server. Oh, web application. So operating system, sure it's all running Linux, but that's not really important. Cloud. That. Let's see. States, attribute, confidentiality, data disclosure. Yes, data total, we don't know. But was both, let's see. It was all in kind of internal personal data, right? What did it say? Let's share the data without August is still logged in active. Enable settings of the following allowed anyone who received the link. Link is disabled. So it was grades, standardized tests, email addresses, and employee ratings. So probably personal data, but also internal data. The employee ratings or excuse me, secrets, and employee ratings are kind of, well, I guess internal data. It's just internal use. It's both customer and employee. Oh, no, student and employee. Employee and student. Stored unencrypted. Data abused, no. We really should enumerate on data abuse this year because I think it's important to know that a lot of times data that's counts as a breach is not necessarily abused. No targeting. This was an accident. Discovery method. Unrelated third party or after customer reported affected by the accident, so the person that they were disclosed to. Let's see. Oh, close discovery method. Value chain doesn't apply for a error. Impact really is insignificant. So say random assignment, right? Yeah, there's no specific assignment over here. Just a error by an internal actor on a server compromising confidentiality. Single wide sweep. We'll validate it. Okay. Copy that off. Save it over here. And we'll call that done. That was actually a really fun one. It's really, it's one of those like just stuff happens type breaches. That's not the kind of thing that anyone like you can do your best to be aware, but this is like the thing where when I go present the DBIR, I say, look, errors cause a lot of breaches. You need to know where you have data that could be, that if disclosed would be a breach, and you need to look at the processes that potentially touch it. And FOIA requests are one of those types of processes that potentially touch sensitive data. And ostensibly should have a process for sanitizing it and dealing with it so that, just one mistake, not catching a link in an email, becomes a breach. So it's the kind of thing that happens and happens a lot, particularly compared to things like, exploiting vulnerabilities and such. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. I should be back next Thursday at the normal time around 10 Eastern. And hopefully I will see you then. Goodbye.